Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Parroy Forest, France, 28 September to 6 October 1944. This is a game designed by Chris Harding and published by Chris Harding Simulations. This is another one of those games I got from Chris Harding Simulations. We've looked at a couple of them on the channel, and now we're going to look at the final one that I picked up from Chris. This is the West Front, obviously. It's in France, and it covers the U.S. 79th Infantry Division's attempt to clear the Parroy Forest. And they were up against the German 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. The primary mix of units in this game are battalions, companies, and squadrons. This is a Ziploc game, so there's no back of the box, but that is the rundown of the game from the website. Being that there's no back of the box, we're going to jump right in and take a look at the components. We have our rule book, 2 sheets of counters, turn track, a player aid, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It is a beautifully done map, small footprint as most of these Chris Harding games tend to be, so easy to take with you and play whether you're playing solitaire or with an opponent. The terrain is real easy to read. You have clear and these little hill looking things. This is actually rough, not hills, but that is rough terrain. Then you have forests, lake hex sides, river hex sides, roads dotting all over the map. Then you have tracks, especially through the middle of the forest, as well as villages, towns, and supply points for both the German on the bottom and the Americans on the top. And we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. The first is the turn record track, which also has the replacement track and German victory point track in the middle, and a listing of the reinforcements for both the US and the Germans at the bottom. And on the next player aid, we have the combat results table with a list of when to use your column shifts. Below that, we have the morale check modifiers. Underneath that, we have the withdrawal table. And at the bottom, we have die roll modifiers and the explanation of the results. And on the back, we have the terrain effects chart, which lists the different types of terrain on the map, the cost for infantry to move through it, mechanized and armor, and the combat effect it has. Beneath that, we have an explanation of stacking. And then at the very bottom, we have the replacements table and morale modifiers for retreating through enemy Zocs. And we'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. First thing I noticed, these are much thicker chipboards, so they're going to withstand a lot of abuse. The first 2 games, they were good thick chipboard, but not like this. These are much thicker. The US units are in green at the top and the Germans are in gray at the bottom. The number on the left-hand side is going to be your unit size. And that is important for stacking limitations as well as whether you can exert a Zoc or not. To exert a Zoc in this game, you have to have a stacking point of at least 3 or greater, and then you can exert a Zoc. Otherwise, you have no Zoc. The 3 numbers at the bottom, we have the combat strength on the left, the morale level in the middle, and the movement allowance on the right-hand side. And on the second sheet of counters, we have administrative markers, including the step loss markers and the Zoc markers. And we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 12-page rule book. The inside of the front cover, we have the index, and then we have the introduction and the game equipment. And that's where they're going to explain to you what all the numbers mean on the counters, as well as the administrative counters. You have your combat strength, game scale, the dice that you're going to need to supply. You'll need to have 2 6-sided dice, the maps and charts, and then the sequence of play starts on page 3. Breaks down all of the steps in the sequence of play, and then it begins to explain what to do in each of them. Isolation determination phase, prepared combat phase, your movement phase, replacement phase, and then night turns. You're actually going to have night turns in this game, and that's not something we always see in these games, and that's pretty cool. Then you have local attacks, roads, tracks, and bridges across your different types of terrain. Entrenchments, zones of control. Remember I said before, the unit strength is going to be that number on the side, and you have to have 3 or greater to exert a Zoc. How to enter and exit Zocs, withdrawal fire, stacks and stacking, stacking limitations. In Forest Hexes, 6 companies, in Rough Hex, 10 companies, and in Clear Hex, 16 companies is going to be your stacking limitations. Then you have combat, combat sequence, defensive fire, the fire sequence, fire strength calculation, artillery support, column shifts, all explained to you, morale checks, and the combat results also explained to you. Retreat, advance after combat, and then the setup is on page 10, listing out the order of battle and the reinforcements and withdrawals on page 11. And then on the back of the rulebook, we have the victory conditions as well as the designer's notes. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Parroy Forest, France, 28 September to 6 October 1944. This is a game designed by Chris Harding and published by Chris Harding Simulations. Again, this is one of the games I got in the CSW Gold deal, and really interested in checking this one out. I like these small footprint games. This one looks a little beefier than the other two because 12 pages of rules, and it's same as the 40th Panzer Corps game, but also has some uniqueness to it too. So I like that. You're understanding how the system works, but then each game also has its own unique flavor. You have night turns. That's not something we always have in these games, and that's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to checking that out. And I don't have a lot of West Front games. I'm primarily an East Front gamer. I really just don't have a lot of West Front games, so it's fun to have something on the West Front here in France. So looking forward to getting this one on the table. And again, it's a small footprint, easy to take with you and play solitaire or play with a friend. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you'd be curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.